What's up, guys? So this video is the part 2 of my Screwtape Letters series. So I'm just going to start by saying I think one of the biggest things that my phone took from me was something I didn't even realize that I was losing. And it wasn't my attention and it wasn't my time. Both of those you do lose when you're constantly on your phone. But it was something a lot deeper than that. So it was the quote of on page 16 in this book, this print version. It says, "It is funny how mortals always picture us putting things into their minds. In reality, our best work is done by keeping things out." So, the first time I read that, I didn't really understand, like, what are they keeping out? Because, like, all the time you hear, like, oh, the devil's putting all these things in your mind. And he is. Like, there's a lot of things that are put in your mind as a distraction and a way to lead you astray. But at first, I didn't really understand this quote. It didn't really feel that powerful to me, and it didn't feel significant to me. It felt kind of just, like, subtle. But the more I sat with it and kind of read further in the book, I realized exactly why that this matters. The most dangerous things in your life, they don't feel dangerous. They kind of feel normal. They feel like nothing's happening at all. And that's kind of what this is talking about. It's not about what's getting into your mind. It's what never gets the chance to get into your mind. And it kind of completely changed how I started looking at my phone. So, when I used to look at my day, I'd always feel like I'd be so busy and that there was no empty space in my day. Like, I was constantly busy and I couldn't make time sometimes for, God. Sometimes I'd be like, hey, I'm just so busy at the end of the day. I'm not going to read my Bible today, and my prayer life is not going to be the best because I'm just so busy. And I felt that every gap was filled. Every time I was bored, I felt that I had to replace that boredom instantly. Like, if I was waiting in the line at the calf, I had to check my phone. If I was sitting down in the calf or sitting down in my room, I'd always have to check my phone. If I was walking somewhere, I'd be on my phone. And it's not because I needed to be on my phone. It's because I didn't want to feel bored at all. And I hated the feeling of being bored. So I never really questioned that. I kind of just thought that's normal. Like, looking around and you see society, everyone's on their phones constantly. So I just thought that was normal, and that's just how things are now. And we're just in a different age of technology. But it's really not. I trained myself into constantly using my phone. And every time like I said, I was a little bit bored or I felt like a silence, I tried to avoid it. And every time that the world kind of slowed down for me or things kind of slowed down, I tried to speed them back up by just feeding my brain with just nonsense that was on my phone. And over time, I just had less overall time of being in my thoughts alone. Like, I found myself just pondering less and just thinking less. And when you are in your thoughts less, you consume more. And then when you consume more, the people that are on your phone, they can tell you how to think and what you should believe and when you should get mad, what you should get mad at, when to be happy, what to be happy about. And slowly we become these slaves to people that we've never met and slaves to a device that sits in our pocket. We can get so upset over news or something that happens during our day that is completely out of our control, something that has probably little no effect on us, and our day is we're just so upset because of something that we saw on our phone. Um, and in the process, our thoughts become very shallow. Our attention becomes reactive instead of proactive. And a lot of times when we think, we're not going too deep. We're just very surface level thinking. And a lot of times you don't notice it at all. And it doesn't feel like you're losing anything when you're constantly consuming. It actually feels like you're gaining something. My light just turned off. Okay. Yeah. And it always feels like there's something to do. It feels like you have constant activity, something to look at, something to think about. Even though the things that you're thinking about aren't your own thoughts, they're just things that people want you to think about. So none of it on your phone is really yours. And this quote really exposed that for me. It's not that my phone was putting bad things into my head, and I'm sure it was. Like a lot of us, and I think it's widely known that the phones put, bad thoughts in our heads, lustful thoughts, envious thoughts, tons of things that we shouldn't be thinking about that are very worldly. I mean, that's common knowledge that our phones are just bad for us. But the thing that people don't think about is, what are you sacrificing while being on your phone? It's keeping a lot of things that are actually better for us out. Having clear thinking, going into deep thought, and yeah, I realized that there's almost no space for that. Not because I didn't have the time to, but because I filled every single moment of my time with scrolling, with TikTok, with Instagram, with brain rot, just garbage. And that's when it clicked for me that half of what the enemy does is distraction, but the other half is avoidance. We avoid our thoughts, things that we don't want to think about, things that we don't want to confront, and then that avoidance leads to distraction. We feel that avoidance, and we find ways to cope through our phones, through other ways that we can cope. It's about avoiding silence. Now, my first video on this was, devil doesn't need you to be evil, he needs you to be distracted. And that is true. You get distracted when you're avoiding things and you're trying to fill that silence. You become distracted. So this is like a predecessor to my last video, but it's basically the part 2 to one of the big key points that I'm trying to make about this book. So at first, when you cut off the social media, I'm not saying you should cut off the social media right away. It's just a thought to think about. But at first, it will be uncomfortable and slow, and you feel like your days are emptier, and it feels like you're missing something. But when you start to reach a good point, your days will feel so much slower in a really good way, because it feels like you're cherishing every moment and that you're living in the moment. You feel like you have a lot more memories, and you start to remember stuff a lot better. Because when we're on our phones a lot, we're actually training our brain to keep more short-term memories. We don't remember long-term memories. We just remember like little tiny bits of things, and our memory becomes bad by scrolling. But that's a whole nother video. But yeah, so most people never get there. They fill that quiet time before that they have the chance to have real deep thought. And if you lose that space, that quiet time to yourself, you lose something that's kind of hard to get back. The ability to think clearly, to focus, have deep thought, and actually just sit and just sit in solitude and think about your life. And it doesn't all disappear at once. Like I think the whole book of this, like the whole theme of this book, is the safest road to hell is the gradual one. And you don't lose this like deep thinking overnight off of one session of scrolling. It kind of fades slowly, quietly and gradually, and you don't even notice it, and it kind of becomes this new normal for you and this new reality of how you think and interact with people. So I didn't try to quit my phone overnight. I just started protecting that space of being alone in my thoughts, being in my own solitude, and I started appreciating time with nothing in it a lot more. Um, and at first, it did feel uncomfortable. It really did. But now it feels a lot more fulfilling because at first, the space that I was avoiding um, is actually everything that I was missing, you know? That time that you spend in the morning that sometimes you wake up and you just start scrolling for 30 minutes before you get out of bed. That time where you can use that to pray or to be in thought or to kind of maybe see how you want to go about your day. That is really valuable, and to lose that to a device that is controlling how you think is really it's pretty crazy to think about. So yeah, sometimes the biggest problem isn't what's getting into your mind, it's what never gets a chance to. So yeah, and if you're constantly feeling every moment, then you might be losing that moment without even realizing it. So yeah, I just this is a quick thought. Well, not quick, it's like a 12-minute video, but thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoy making these videos. I hope you guys enjoy watching them. But yeah, I might do another video on Screwtape. I'm thinking about doing some philosophy videos as well, because I've been doing, like, these are kind of like I guess theology videos, but like faith videos. So my next book I'd like to do, I don't know. I'm not gonna get too far ahead of it. I'm just gonna make a video on what I feel like I should make a video on. But I thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, turn the post notifications on. I probably should have told you at the beginning of the video. I'm kind of new to YouTube, so I don't really. Most people have already probably clicked off. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment if you have any thoughts about this video. Make sure to drop a comment and tell me how you feel about this. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.